بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to our program Real Life and Education. So we're still talking about the universe, and today we will talk about the dimension, the educational dimensions through the understanding of universe. I will start saying the verse from the Holy Quran. ولقد ضربنا للناس في هذا القرآن من كل مثل لعلهم يذكرون. As I said, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, and we have struck the people in this Holy Quran with every parable so that they may remember. Starting from this verse and before, talking about the understanding of universe and how can we understand this universe through the Holy Quran. I'm so happy to present or to introduce my two guests, starting from Professor Rashid Mimouni. Welcome to the new topic. And my right, of course, as we did last week, Tahir Hajjan, the expert or education expert. You're welcome to our topic.
Thank you very much.
As I said last week, we already talked about the universe, and we had spoken about the miracles of the duties or task of universe, and starting from stars, moons, and the sun. Today, I think we will talk about talk more than what we said already. Starting. Our education expert Tahir Hajjan, as introductions, what can we say from last week to now?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We have seen last week the vastness of the universe and its fullness. These two are very important. These are very important means of adoration. That means we will be close to Allah by this contemplation, by this approach. And we have seen that Allah created many worlds, and one of them is the world of human. And regulated this. Allah regulated this by two laws: preference and providing. And he says, Subhanah, we have honored the children of Adam. Honored by what? We need to ask. By what Allah preferred the human? By his mind, by the mind, by the knowledge and science. And Allah, more than this, He prostrated the angels to the human. It means the place of human is very important. But if he will adorate Allah, he will be as Allah wants him to be. Allah shows us the position of man with Allah. And he says for the second, he created human, and also he gives him many things. And he says, he placed at your service whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on earth. All is from him. In that are signs for a people who think. That means who could reach this thinking? Only the one who is close to Allah. Now, how can we use all these, all what we said about the universe, we use it in the education. And we could say, as first and important thing, that if we want generations strength and elevated in level, we need to educate them. And one way, and it's the most important, one way of educating them is by contemplating Allah's creation, to arise the level of greatness of this, to touch the greatness of these creations, and of course, after that, the greatness of Allah. And by bind them with scientific miracles in the Holy Quran, which is one topic very huge. And I said one time that this side of science of the universe, is about 2/3 of the Quran. Mm-hmm. That's what we will see after in going with the steps of education.
Inshallah, of course, yeah. I just want to remind myself and all of you the verse of إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار, in the creations of the heaven and the earth, and the difference between the day and the night are signs to the people who understand really, who the people who think properly. And after that, he said in the Holy Quran as well, he said, الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض. Means Allah Azza wa Jalla goes back to the differences between day and night, and goes back about the creations of the heaven. It is very, very miracles and amazing creations. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal remind the mu'mineen, Muslimin, and all the people, remind them about the creations of the heaven and the earth. It is not that what they think. These amazing creations need to be think properly and to be as well contemplated. On that same line, I just want to address to Rashid Mimouni.
Yes, well, I would start with two evidences. First of all, as you said, that the Quran is an appeal to reason. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it is said that the Quran is a text, dogmatic, doctrinal textbook about rules and conduct and something like that. Moreover, it is mainly an appeal to reason. We mentioned one of the previous sessions about the verses, different stylistic approaches through interrogation. أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا, haven't they seen? أَوَلَمْ, haven't they, is not man aware of this? For example, sometimes it is true affirmation, ascertainment. Among his signs is, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ this and this. Mm-hmm. Then I think that this appeal, the Quran, as you mentioned, the verses you mentioned, Surah Ali Imran, يعني about the alternance between day and night, and between the sky and heavens on the earth, it's what we are calling a subtle stimulus to religious imagination, to the imagination of man, and the imagination of man. And now we are, science is developing at a very rapid pace, very rapid. Now we are marveled by this universe, but its materialistic aspects. The Quran is integrating three levels when it is speaking to man. First of all, it is related, it is what we are calling the metaphysical dimension of the creation. Yani, on the transcendental dimension. It is because nature cannot explain itself by itself. It is, as you said, both of you, it is a sign of God. Every signs among his signs are. He created things you haven't seen, and still we are discovering every day new things. A few days ago, they discovered something which is mentioned in the Quran. The coral. Coral is mentioned in the Quran. يعني المرجان, Surah Al-Rahman. They mentioned a plant, a garden of coral. They thought that coral is only at a very shallow distance from the sea. For example, beneath the sea until 25 meters or 70
deeply, very deep.
Deeply, yes. They found very beautiful corals in Tahiti. Last week, or a few weeks ago, in Tahiti, at more than 2,000 meters down in the sea, in the ocean. This is impressive. They are always discovering. Then it stands as a sign. Nature is the emblem of God, is the flag of God, showing we have the Quran and we have the nature proving the creation of God. And the gun entry are also called ayat and signs. The second thing is the naturalistic plane, second dimension in the Quran. It is an integral system governed by a set of immutable laws. It is when one of the sessions is we said there is harmony on integration in the Quran, or on the signs. It is said, for example, that the sun is not preceding the moon, and the moon is not preceding the sun. The same with the day and night. The same with for example, these things, there's a harmony. If there is disharmony in the word, he said, there would no God then. It is a proof that there is a God. The same, how to exist on this thing, although Allah Ta'ala, in many verses, is saying that he is preserved for all his creature, all its resources, preservation of water. We have made from water from everything living. And Allah sent from heaven water, so he revived the earth with after its death. You know, it's providing, it's showing naturalistic proof that is there. Preservation of animals. And there is no creature on earth, but that upon Allah is its provision. You know, and he knows its place of dwelling, on place of storage. All is in a clear register. On not any moving created in the earth, but on Allah is provision, and so forth. Preservation of the vegetal, and so forth. Then this is the second thing. And the third thing is why he is speaking to man. Because this is the third is about mankind. Mankind, this universe, is about he created man. All those signs are part for man. Not all are for man, part for man. For example, he sees stars on the sun, on the moon, to compute, to make hisab, and to see during night, on during day. Vegetable, always, he mentioned the different type of vegetable crops, on cereals, on grapes, on something like that, olives, on the figs, on something like that.
We talk about Surah Al-Rahman.
And then he's speaking about vegetable animals. Animals, he specifies, Allah Ta'ala, he specifies the purpose of animals. For food, for transportation, for zina, for have a luxury and to show ornaments, as an ornaments. Then this is, but on this thing, he's saying to man, you have a responsibility. This responsibility, because this conception of Islam is value-centered. It is centered of a conception of the world, not depleting the resource of the nature, not destroying, not wasting on corrupting upon earth, on things like that, then man is responsible. He has not got to make, there are many verses, don't do mischief upon earth after God has created perfectly this earth, on things like that. This is the three dimension. Then the moral dimension is that man has to act and to respect all this nature. He is not commanded as in the capitalistic vision of exploiting this world until depletion of its resources. And this is important because if we speak about education, on the different type of education, we are linked with all the environmental actions and the environment education. But our specificity as Muslims, as parts of mankind, as witnesses, we have other things to add to this conception. Then this is what the specificity of the Quran about the nature.
Well, we mentioned all the kind of universe, in the galaxies, and
yeah.
But we already talk about the duties or the tasks of moon and sun and day and night. We need to not forget in the what we call the animals, the roles or the importance of animals. When Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned them in Holy Quran, and there is a lot of kind of animals which was mentioned in the Quran, starting from, for example, when we talk about Surah Al-Kahf, when Allah Azza wa Jal said, وَكَلْبٌ بَاسِطٌ ذِرَاعَيْهِ بِالْوَصِيدِ, He was mentioned even how the settle of the dog. And in hadith talking about the cat, that a woman who didn't feed the cat and what happened to her after that. Not just the cat and the dog. Also, we've got camels. When Allah Azza wa Jal give the example about the camels, or model of the camel, especially when he put that camels after talking, before talking about the mountains and the earth and the heaven. فَلْيَنْظُرْ, as Allah Azza wa Jal said in that surah, He said, أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. And he was given a speech to the human being. You have to see properly about the creation, to see the creations of Allah Azza wa Jal, starting from the ibil. He didn't say just the ibil, what he has to do, what the ibil has to do, but he said, أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. How the creation was, how the camel was created, and so on. We're talking about the animals. Okay, what can we conclude about the animals? Talking when Allah Azza wa Jal in Holy Quran give the example about the animals and give the models. What these animals, especially I did forget about the animals when we talk about the cow. In Surah Al-Baqarah, even the surah was called by the cow. I wouldn't be late on that.
Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created many worlds. And what is the most important in this is that the organization is the harmony. We could see different colors, different shapes. Then how this will help to make Muslim example, to make a Muslim who will live this life close to Allah. That means, as we said, that adoration needs thinking. That means without thinking we cannot adorate Allah as He wants. Even when we go to the education, we couldn't educate people, kids, or the coming generations without thinking. That's why thinking could be the first step of adoration and the first step of education. Let's start educate kids or coming generations. By what we could start this? Allah gave us the formula. By what He started the Quran, the holy book. He started it by read, اقرأ. That means if the creation or the different creators, we could see them, we could have an idea about them by seeing them. Also to get or to go over what Allah said, the main and important means is reading. That's why He started by read. Loving reading is important to make population doing it. Because by reading we could be close to Allah as thinking. That's why Al-Mutanabbi said the best companion of man is the book. And our Sheikh Al-Bashir Ibrahimi was saying, before writing you must know reading, and before talking you must know listening. It gives all this, gives us how to be close to Allah, how to go toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Because we need knowledge about creatures of Allah, and to know these creators we need science, we need knowledge. With this we can accede to the idea that Islam offers a global vision of man and the global vision of the universe. Allah says, we will show them our proofs on the horizons and in their very souls, في أنفسكم, until it becomes clear to them that it is the truth. That means with what we see and what we read, we can reach the truth. And the best question here is, could we reach the truth without thinking or without reading?
Yes, of course. When we talk about reaching the truth or talking about the contemplating and thinking properly, I'm always saying thinking properly, but it doesn't mean thinking properly. It means when you think, you have to use your morals once. The first things, using the morals. And second things, you know what you're reading by thinking. During you read, you think properly what you are reading. You have to understand properly. What does it mean understanding? Understanding means you've got the models, and these models of understanding will take your right view to the right way and avoid you from the wrong way. I'm always saying in the same ideas, we need to talk about the importance of the animal mentions on the Holy Quran. I said we start from Baqarah. You see, when Allah Azza wa Jalla, when the kuffar didn't want to obey to Allah Azza wa Jalla, He just gave them the miracles, i'jaz. Once saying to them, بقرة لا ذلول تثير الأرض ولا تسقي الحرث مسلمة. And in the other side, the color of the cow, when he said ما لونها صفراء فاقع لونها تسر الناظرين. After that, we've got a lot of animals as donkeys, for example. مثل الذين يحملون توراة كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا. And talking about the obeys, as you said, talking about Surah Saba, when Sulaiman alayhi salam, he was walking, and a Naml already to have, not laughing, but they just smile on the talk of Sulaiman alayhi salam, and all that, they have their own specific existence in a da'wah of our prophets. Professor Mimoun.
Yes, if we take what is education, education refers to an organized effort to teach some population, a part, educate people, children or school pupils or students about certain things. Education, there are formal education ways, which is school, institutions, state institutions, public, private, something like that, with its system. There are informal institutes. On the informal institute, there is, for example, books, there are supports books, and there are media, there are things like that. They are informal. It could be through family. Family has to educate people to this sensibility, to these creations, verses in the Quran, for example. But when we speak in this realm, education, if we do educational system, you see about the creation, be it animals, universe, earth, land, landscape, mountains, rivers, something like that. You found it in geography, you find it in science courses, you find it sometimes in religious, maybe in order to appeal to the pupils. You find it in adab, in literature, something about in the forest or any settings, beautiful settings, on something like that. But I think when I read, for example, you mentioned, for example, animals. Quran, we can define how animals are treated in the Quran. They are not treated in haphazard words. There are, for example, animals, according to the size, according to the purpose, according to the function, there are differences. For example, the first observation is that in the Quran there are labeled, or surat, chapters, which are labeled by names of animals. What is the purpose? For example, the cow. You say the bee.
Spider.
The spider, ankabut. Okay, naml, the ant. You see? And then the first thing. I think that if we return to our relations, man's relation, when I said the three dimensions of the Quran, speaking of the universe, man's relation to the universe. You find, for example, about the animals. We have an ethic of caution, ethic of responsibility towards animals. But when I return to this point, there are animals which are mentioned in the Quran for their benefits, direct benefits. For example, the bee. The bee. The bee and for example, Surah Al-Nahl. Surah Al-Nahl, I mentioned one of the translation of the translation in English about the Quran. Alors, on thy Lord, your Lord, بسم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأوحى ربك إلى النحل أن اتخذي من الجبال بيوتا ومن الشجر وما يعرشون. I translate it in English. And thy Lord taught the bee to build its cells in hills, one on trees, and in men's habitations, then to eat of all the produce of the earth, and find with skill the spacious path of its roads. There issues from within their bodies a drink of varying colors, wherein it's healing for man. Verily, in this is a sign for those who give thought. You know, the place of the bee in the nature, in the fecunding all the vegetable, is very important. Science has proved it now. Okay, this is for it. For other animals, about their transport, like camels, or for the meat, or like the horses.
Well, when we talk about the obese, we are talking about what the obese product or produce.
Yes, that's it.
And now the production of this obese is one of the most important medicine ever.
Ever. Okay. Among, yes, ever. And then, but sometimes in the Quran, animals are mentioned for another characteristics. If you take a naml, as you said, Quran is giving us a clue. It is saying that the naml or animals, they are a system of information, a system of communication. And it is said that Solomon, the King Solomon, the prophet and King Solomon, Suleiman, knew this language. And now there are hints that they can decipher some of it, but most of it is not able for man to discuss. But he said, and it is said, he said, what you said, at length, حتى إذا أتوا على وادي النمل, this is the Quran.
قالت نملة
أيها النمل ادخلوا مساكنكم لا يحطمنكم سليمان وجنوده وهم لا يشعرون فتبسم منها ضاحكا من قولها قال ربي أوزعني نشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي. At length, when they came to a lonely valley of ants, النمل, one of the ants said, "Oh, you ants, get into your habitations, lest Solomon and his hosts crush you and their food without knowing it." So he smiled, amused at his speech, and said, "O my Lord, so order me that I may be grateful to thy favors." We know that the ants, we don't know their communications, but through their gallery and to their organization, one of the most organized societies.
Their work activities, how they do.
And the Quran said that birds, among birds, sometimes are nations, as your nations, as man is organized in nations. You see, they are animals that are related with specific situations. As you say, the cow. Although we know that the cow is bring up milk, and we have all benefits from it. But it is not what is mentioned in the Quran. It is a specific situation when a man among the son of Israel, a man was killed, and the dunya knew the author of the killing, the murderer. Then they slaughtered a cow, and the cow, with his tongue, touched the victim, and the victim raised against the death on the soul. This is something which of the indivisible.
Now, if we go deeply to this Surah Al-Baqarah, especially when what happened on that Surah Al-Baqarah, when Allah Azza wa Jalla was talking about the killing of that man, or the killers, to find the killers, what did he say? He just said فَضْرِبُوهَا بِبَعْضِهَا.
Okay. And he mentioned things about the, let's say, the pugnacity of some of the prisons when they required what kind of car on Quran made more severe until they reached the one they need. Although in the beginning Allah Ta'ala was easing, saying any car, but it was mentioned one of the mentality of some people.
And the same car was tools of investigations. If you can say that, yeah.
Other things I mentioned in the Quran. For example, the biggest earthly land animal, الفيل, Surah al-Fil, that is related with
Elephant.
with Abraham when he wanted to destroy the Kaaba. The most important sea animal, fish, which is the whale, الحوت, but it is related with Yunus alayhi salam. Then in the Quran, when I see these books for the children, animals in the Quran, yani books, they don't specify those specific functions of the animals in the Quran, the purposes, multi-purpose of the animals.
Now, when you're talking about Yunus alayhi salam, that fish, that big fish, was knowing the dua of Yunus alayhi salam when he says, Subhanaka Allahumma inni kuntu min al-dhalimin. Means when he was doing tasbih, that fish was listening to the tasbih. And after, of course, all the scholars said, when the fish hear the tasbih of, she just opened
its
mouth, and Yunus alayhi salam goes, I mean, he has been saved by that.
This is an appeal to reason, to the beauty, to the world. And the animals, Allah Ta'ala is giving examples of very small animals to the unbelievers. And He is saying to them, create like I did, a small fly, a small things like that, recreate it. If all the humanity, even with those artificial means now, technological, they cannot create as means. Then this is, for example, the second thing is about the ethical responsibility of man, and then it is about we have to respect all kind of animals. We use them parsimoniously according to our needs. We don't treat them with cruelty. We respect them. Allah Ta'ala, for example, has saved a mundane woman because
of the cat.
The cat. She respected the cat. She went to the dog who was thirsty, and they gave him. He forgave her his mistakes. You see, then it is very important to see all those elements, these tenets, to be integrated in a vision, just for the animals, not mentioning.
I mean, if we want to go, as I said, deeply about the creations of these animals, of these insects, when talking about the ants or the obeys, talking about their eyes, talking about from where they can see, from where they can smell, they can
in a small
well
eye.
It is not our speciality, but when Allah Azza wa Jal again involved these animals in the Quran, in the Holy Quran, He gave us the real duties of these animals, especially when we talk about the birds, الطيور, about hudhud Sulaiman, and ما لي لا أرى الهدهد أم كان من الغائبين. And this verse has a very vast meaning in Quran. As the meaning of wind, when we were talking about that Allah Azza wa Jal provide the wind to Sulaiman alayhi salam, وسخرنا الرياح تجري, etc. I mean, all the verse was talking about the winds, talking about a lot of kind of, as can I say, galaxies or whatever we can say that, but the animals has their own status or positions in Quran. I don't know if, yes.
One way of education is the treks, jawalat, expeditions. You talked, and it was wonderful, you talked about readings concerning these concerning animals. But what we could see in the animals, what Allah shows us from the animals. First, the shape. Are the animals all have the same shape? No. The color of each animal, the son of each animal, and of course the role of each animal. These we will see them, not just read about them. That's what I want to make clear. Animals, this world of animals, we could see from it the greatness of these creatures and the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
It is amazing discovery. If you want to discover what these animals has, if we compare it with the others, it is amazing discovery.
Then to differentiate about the role of each animal, what it gives to the humans, because as we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided all creatures to be in service to human.
Starting from the scales, you see the scale,
Yes.
the skin of the animals. You see, when we talk about the tiger, skins of tiger, or we talk about the skins of the sheep, or talking about any other skins, they don't have same. I mean, even the importance, they are not really same. When we talk about the skin of the cow, or skin of tiger, as I said, or skin of rabbits. See, when we used to have the skin of rabbits in our houses and to do the decorations, or skin of as I said, the sheep, when we decorate all the houses, or decorate some desert houses. When we go to the desert, they have this kind of animal skins which decorates all the houses. Yes.
I don't know why we don't have this culture of observing, this culture of expeditions to see and to live sometimes with animals.
It helps even when we talk about trades. It helps even in our touristic places, touristic cities. This is what we call the trades and tourism. If we do use this kind of skins, maybe we will be rich on that cultures.
Of course, and to discover the intelligence of animals, how they live, how they communicate, what they are doing, how they born. All this will give an idea about the greatness of these creatures, and then the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
See, he was talking, I just remember what happened to Nuh alayhi salam, when the Tufan comes over, and he just take the pearls. خلقنا من كل زوجين اثنين وأهلك إلا من سبق عليه القول. And that was to just go away from that land to the motherland and to save all kind of animals as well, starting from the birds and animals and all that. Okay, Professor.
Yes, if we consider that now we speak about, I think we have to go over just contemplation. We have the possibility, the intellectual tools and the religious tools to contemplate. But over this is if now we get to this environmental interests that is growing with the destruction of environment, with the depletion, with the pollution, with the disappearance of a lot of animals. Now we have to go, as some recommendation, united recommendations, speak is about to see, to be sensible about the environmental issue, to be to know how to become an eco-citizen, that to defend our environment in Algeria. There are associations for birds associations, animals associations. Then we have to link with this and to reinforce this. It is when I see, for example, the international days on all things are mentioned in the Quran. For example, the International Day of Forest, 21st of March. The International Day of the Wildlife. يعني الحياة البرية
البراري كما يقولون.
البراري 3 مارس. International Day of the Nourishing Earth. 22 April. والله تعالى يقول everything has got its provision. The Ocean, June the 8th. International of the Mountain, 11th of December. And one of the things I've just recented, there are more I think, but it's very impressive about the climax. There is the Day of the Climates. And we have to say, then the Quran is mentioning those, but we have not maybe the educational tools to value more and more these elements. I would mention, I don't know if there is much time, about the condition of the Prophet ﷺ about animals, how he would respect animals. Among Islam forbids mistreating or killing them except for food. The Prophet ﷺ chastised his companions who mistreated animals and spoke to them about mercy and kindness. Mercy, whoever is merciful, even to a sparrow, يعني طير يعني sparrow, Allah will be merciful to him on the day of judgment. A good deed done to an animal is like a good deed done to a human being. While an act of cruelty to an animal is as bad as cruelty to a human being. He equates it, Allah Ta'ala. Animals cannot speak them for them. Muhammad once passed a camel that was so emaciated, nahif yani, emaciated its back, had almost reached its stomach.
He wasn't being fed up enough.
He said to his owner, fear Allah in these beasts who cannot speak. You see, mental cruelty is forbidden in law. A group of companions traveling with Muhammad, when he left them for a while, during his absence they saw a bird with its 2 young, and they took the young ones from the nest. It was a child, I think. The mother bird was circling above his head in the air, beating its wing in grief. When Muhammad came back and said, who has hurt the feelings of this bird biting its young, returning them to her? And the child, give rest to beasts to burden, لا تحمل أكثر. Do not use the backs of your animals as chairs. Allah has made them subject to you so that you can reach places that you couldn't otherwise be able to reach. Then, all these things show that we have a complete conception on the welfare, conception of welfare in Islam. This responsibility is going not just for men, on destitute person or poor people, but also to animals and to the rest of creation. And there's another thing is about Allah Ta'ala made reserves, يعني حما around Medina and Mecca, and he said that Allah Ta'ala, or Ibrahim alayhi salam, make حما, protecting area, réserve naturelle, الحماية المحمية الطبيعية الآن. He made it Abraham made Mecca as محمية, I make Medina. That means you don't too much deforest and respect the nature and
I
things
say
like
more than that, when we already talk about the beauty of the universe, we can even talk about the beauty of animals,
Yeah,
the beauty of birds. You see the sound of the birds in the morning, for example. You see, I just remember one of the hadith was about the birds when they said, the hadith said, Ya Aba Umair, ma fa'al al-nughayr.
Hey.
The nughayr was the birds who got a very, very important, very nice sound, or as we say, it's like music. When you hear that in the morning, it's like, I mean, you will wake up. Whatever is left back, you will wake up.
Yeah.
This hadith said, Ya Aba Umair, ma fa'al al-nughayr. Why did you put that on this case, and you know the importance of the sound of that birds, not just about birds, even about the other animals. Allah Azza wa Jal gave us, mentioned these animals about their beauty in the universe. Well, the subject, as I said, the topic of subject is very wide and is very vast. Whatever we talk about the beauty of this universe, the beauty of the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal in this universe, and all the duties of all that what we already said, we can resume it in the verse of Allah Azza wa Jalla when he says, إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب. The people who think properly, they already knew about Allah Azza wa Jalla, about the creation of Allah Azza wa Jalla, about dhikr Allah Azza wa Jalla, about following this, the Islam, following what Allah Azza wa Jalla said. At the end I will say, well, we have to take in consideration everything in our universe, starting from all the galaxy, the duty of the galaxy, to what we got in Earth. At the end I will say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.